All right, we're back on another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. It's Jonathon Howe with you here, and we've got a lot to catch up on this episode. This is episode 97. 97, if I've got my numbers right here. Now, I was reminded by Fran that Freddie Carlton drove a 97.7 inspired race car at one point. And so we should shout that out, especially with my connection to 97.7. Now, also, I've got to say that I think it's Luke Carlton was the other one that Fran shouted out that also drove a 97. Hang on, stop, man, Fran. Let me actually open your message here and make sure I get it right for you. Yes, Luke Carlton was once 97, and Freddie Carlton was sponsored by 97.7. But so for the 97th episode, we'll shut those out. And I also made my first go-kart start in kart number 7. I'm looking at the sticker right now on my little workstation here where I record the show. Now, I think I'm going to skip the formal race report thing. We're going to really focus in on Humberstone and Merrittville this particular episode, get you caught up with all things there, including who won the championships at Merrittville. And then maybe, hopefully, because this is going to come out probably on Tuesday. You're probably hearing this on a Tuesday, earlier in the week than normal. Maybe I'll get a second shorter episode in, kind of teeing up Oshweekend and looking at all things Oshweekend if we can work that out throughout the week. But right now, I wanted to make sure before we get any later, I didn't want to lose the stuff from the weekend prior, which was the doubleheader of Merrittville and Humberstone, and then this past weekend that just happened where we crowned our champions. So let's dive right into it. First with Merrittville. This is from August 2020, August 24th, 2024. I want to jump into the Van Sickle Pet Valley PV on the Lane 4 cylinders first up because Kenny Hare picks up the win there, and he, in doing that, tied Alex Riley in points for the final night. Alex Riley had to come through the B main that night, actually, after a disappointing result in the heats. Had to win the B main, started 18th in the feature, drove up to, I think, 8th was as far as he was able to drive up to. So Hare's win there made things really interesting heading into the final week of racing for the mini stocks. Over in the Rona Dodge Mod Lights, however, Josh Sliter winning kind of set himself up to close the championship out. He won that one ahead of Tyler Winger, RJ Pitts, Brent Begolo, and Leroy Buscombe. Josh, I think, entered into final points night after that win plus 30 some odd points. I'm not sure. I think we worked it out too. I think he needed to finish 18th. So we'll get to this past Saturday's action, but knowing that Josh only had to finish like about 18th or whatever it was, 19th, no matter what Brent Begolo did, kind of basically made that championship null and void. Dave Bailey ended up winning the Hoosier Stock feature 2 weeks ago at Merrittville as well. And that, again, just really stretched out, put the capital exclamation point on his championship, locking that up over Mark Fawcett. Kyle Pellrine was second, kind of a tease of what was to come for that 47X. Zach Bleach ended up third. Great for a run for him. Fawcett and Evan Curtis rounded out your top 5 on that particular Saturday night. Then in the Sportsman, Cody McPherson, again, this guy's inevitable. He just wins everything, man. Picked up the win ahead of Taylor Van Der Zan and Billy Bleach Jr. Doug Walsh Jr. with a fantastic run. Was leading a lot of the race earlier in the night, actually, before Cody was able to get him on a restart. So a great run for the 24 and Doug Walsh. I think also picked up a heat win. I think his second or third of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to Doug there. Mitch Dumont rounded out your top 5 in that one. And then probably the biggest story from a couple weeks back was James Friesen breaking through on his 40th birthday, no less, to win the Commercial Auto Electric 350 Modified feature. That was his first feature win in a modified. He won it over Gary Lindberg, Brad Rouse, Justin Sharp, and Pete Bignell. So really had to hold off the best of the best to get that win ahead of Gary, especially who started 15th, drove up to second, did more than enough to clinch himself a championship as well, and became I believe, 3-time track champion unofficially after that result. Then we move over to the next night at Humberstone. I mentioned James Friesen picks up the win, wins his first modified feature. That was not the only bit of winning he did, actually. He, picked up the Sterling Lubricants Sportsman feature win as well. I think it was the ROC Sportsman there for Pete Cosco Memorial Night. What a night it was. What a drive from him. Started on the pole, won it ahead of Cody McPherson, held him off in the end, something that not too many in the Niagara region have been able to do this season, and holding off Cody McPherson. Jacob Chevalier, the youngster, had a great hometown run at the Pete Cosco Memorial. And Bill Beach ended up finishing in fourth, and Curtis Friesen rounded out your top five at the Pete Cosco Memorial for the Sportsman. Let's hear from James Friesen, because I caught up with him ahead of Saturday night's racing at Merrittville to talk a little bit about the track and the weather issues, but also reflect on those moments. So let's, I'm just going to cut this interview in right here. Let's throw to James Friesen. All right, standing by trackside with James Friesen for the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Coming off what was a very big weekend for him. Let's start with the Saturday night, looking back on last weekend and breaking through for your first modified win. What was that feeling like?
It was a relief. We put a lot of work in, and to finally get it pay off, that was the big one. It felt like we weren't going to get over that hurdle. But thank God we got it done before the season was over, and definitely happy about it.
And take us through that night and that race in particular. It felt like since July, it's been Gary Lindberg's kind of series to lose. He's been the dominant driver, but you flat out just outbeat him. You beat the whole field. How much confidence does that give you going forward with your modified program, even into maybe next year? I don't know what the plans are for the 72, but it's got to feel good to be able to get a win and beat a guy who's been one of the hotter drivers over the summer.
No, it definitely feels good. All season we've had a decent car, maybe a fourth, fifth was where we plateau, and just been working on it and sometimes making it worse. But it feels like just these last couple of weeks what we've done is actually made it better, and hopefully they can stay consistent and stay up there and doesn't fade off again. But to run up with Gary steady is going to be a whole nother ballpark. 1 week is just 1 week, but hopefully we can find something to keep running with them and maybe potentially, start challenging them more often.
So then take us through to the next night. You celebrate the big 4-0, you celebrate the modified win, you're back at it the next night at Humberstone, driving in the Sportsman on the Pete Cosco Memorial Night, and you go ahead and go out and win that one. Talk to us about the drive that night. What stands out from that night?
That just is a testament to me, Corey, Gord, Ron, us at the shop, because it was another car, and just to know that both bullets we got back at the shop, we can pull it out and call on it, and it's up to par. Because Cody's no slouch, obviously. That him and Gary to beat those two guys on the weekend, heads up, that just shows how good, our program's not, lacking at the shop, and that to be able to pull out a car, it's been a couple months since we run it, and to beat Cody, it just it helps the morale and just lets us know we're doing some right things at the shop.
And talking about Humberstone, the first night out for that racetrack, there was a lot of talk about the dust and some of the issues that were caused by that on the racetrack. But for the Pete Cosco, we got a phenomenal racetrack, it seemed like. What was it like from the seat? What was the surface like? And I know it was a little bit of a one-lane racetrack maybe, but how did you feel about the surface? How did you feel about the facility on that second of the final five?
I thought it was great. Starting up front obviously helped me a lot, but all you ask is the track's smooth and racy. Every week you can't have perfect conditions. Obviously the bottom was a little more dominant, but that's you can't always have the best of everything all the time. But the track was smooth. I didn't find the dust to be much of a factor. So for not having, they're not running or preparing the track weekly. So for them to pull the surface out like that, I think it's an A+.
And we're now, a week removed from that weekend, a great weekend for you. We're back at Merrittville tonight. I had a championship point finale night, and it has done nothing but rain throughout the Niagara region pretty much all day, right up until 3:30. I had some folks telling me that there was basically a river running off the off-ramp around 3:30 today here at the racetrack. So what is that going to do to this particular surface, and what do you expect from the track here tonight before we get to the racing night?
It's a coin flip right now, but they don't have the Packer trucks on the track, so that kind of gives me an indication it's not overly sloppy or soupy. They must have been a bit prepared for the weather. They probably had the track a bit sealed up. So I don't know if it's going to be much different. I think it'll probably be a little heavier. We might not get the black slick as early, but I think it's going to be pretty consistent to what it's been like, towards the end of the year here.
Towards the end of the year here, we're finishing up at Merrittville, but you're also a guy who loves to get out on the road. Do you have more plans through the fall to hit the road anywhere? Can we expect the 72 running elsewhere before the end of 2024?
Yeah, we got the Sportsman here tonight because we're going to load it up after this and go to Devil's Bowl tomorrow. They have a Sportsman race for 200 laps, 10,000. So we're going to give that a stab. We got Super Dirt Week at Oswego on for the Modified on the schedule, and maybe some Brighton. We'll just pick and choose. You got to get through one weekend before you can really plan for another, but the way things are going, we'll try and stay busy till the end of the year, but definitely Devil's Bowl tomorrow is a big one. 10,000 for a Sportsman race. It's, if someone's willing to pay that, you want to kind of support it. And Oswego, hopefully we can make the show there, but other than that, just kind of play it by ear.
James, thanks so much for the time. Congrats on the great weekend last weekend. Finish 2024 strong, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate giving me your time.
Cheers. There he is. James Friesen on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. So that's James Friesen on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, talking about his first modified feature win, breaking through for the Sportsman feature win as well on Pete Cosco Memorial Night, and looking ahead to what was a tricky track at Merrittville with the rainstorms ahead of it. Great to hear from James. Appreciated him taking some time out pre-race to join us this past Saturday trackside. Now, moving on to some of the lower classes that happened at Humberstone, we should probably talk about the mini stocks, because the mini stocks were, well, there was no shortage of entertainment from them, that's for sure. The race was won by Jeremy Cooper, which great for Jeremy to get out there. I know he's been helping, I think, Kenny Hare a lot this season. I think, I don't want to say that he owns Kenny's car, but Cooper Motorsports on the side of that race car. I think there's a total team effort there between Jeremy, Kenny, and a couple other the guys, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn on that one, and they can correct me if I am. Sean Cuse ended up coming home in second with the 7B bug that night. Rob Goulding, Kenny Hare with a great drive, and Josh Demetro went 21st to 5th to score a top 5 after I think he won the B main to get into the show on Sunday night at the Pete Cosco Memorial. So awesome to see the Bosch Car Mini Stocks play out that way. Something that was not so awesome, I mean, it was a little WWE, and it was Jesse McDonald who got dumped on a restart. Now, they all kind of stacked up at the back of the field. Everybody kind of wrecked. James Marshall, I guess I didn't see the wreck happening, kind of ran over the backside of Jesse McDonald. McDonald goes into the wall, and, he takes exception to that. It was a hard hit, don't get me wrong. Definitely a bummer for the Caledonia driver, but he gets out of the race car, walks across the track to where their field is stopped and red flagged, finds Marshall, and just unloads through the window with a series of fists. It's like, I don't want to laugh. I mean, it's like you're watching like a TSN viral moment happen in front of your face, and it's just so ridiculous. It's like, it was not gross, but I don't really like that, man. Like, first of all, if you're gonna punch somebody, make sure your helmet's off, make sure his helmet's off, and like do it on the front stretch or something where the fans can see it, so it's really at least a show. If you're gonna do something that aggressive, or just have a man conversation through the window. You don't need to include the fists. It got so out of hand so quick, and it was funny, but it was not a bright moment for the mini stocks, and for I don't think Jesse McDonald probably feels like it was that bright of a moment looking back on it, or maybe he was happy that he took the time to try to punch somebody in the helmet multiple times. I don't know. That was something. That was something. Mod Lights are also in action as part of the Pete Cosco Memorial. RJ Pitts picks up yet another win. We had him on the show after he broke through for his first feature win in 4 years, and now the momentum's really rolling. That 26 has had a really strong end of 2024, and that's a great sign of things to come. Hopefully RJ keeps that pace up into 2025 should he return to racing. I assume he's going to be. I hope he is, because again, he's looking just so strong. Looks like he could easily be a top contender week in and week out, and kind of has been all season long in the Mod Lights, but now he's got the winning pedigree again, and he picked up the win ahead of Joe Isabel, Anthony Scott, Tyler Winger, and Brent Begolo rounded out your top 5 from Humberstone on Sunday night as part of the Pete Cosco Memorial. We talked a little bit about the Sportsman already. We should probably talk about the Thunder Stocks. Kyle Pellrine picks up the win ahead of Pete Reed, Dave Bailey, Jason Fontaine, Mike Thorne. That feature was supposed to be 20 laps, got shortened to 15 just due to time constraints. It was a bit of a long night at Humberstone. They got some rain just before the race was about to start, which just kind of messed up packing of the track and that sort of stuff. But ultimately, Kyle did a good job, started on pole, never really surrendered it from Pete Reed. It was a bit of a one-lane racetrack by that point for that division, but shout out to Kyle. He's another driver that's really had a lot of great speed in the closing part of 2024, and I almost wonder, if he had this pace at the beginning of the year and had some more luck on his side, what could have been? Where could he have gotten himself up in the championship fight with Bailey and Fawcett? But either way, shout out to Kyle Pellrine. Let's jump right into the modified feature, where it was Matt Williamson, of course, picking up the Pete Cosco Memorial win. Started in third, got to the front pretty early. Brad Rouse was on pole for this one initially, and he had the 5D of Jacob Dykstra to his outside. Dykstra faded back to 10th in this one. Rouse was able to hang on to a spot inside the top 5. Todd Gordon also up inside the top 5. But that podium, Williamson, Lindberg, and Susice, probably the 3 best modified drivers around Western New York, Southern Ontario, in terms of the tracks that we have locally here, and tour races as well, representing. Obviously, those 3 were trying to settle the Ransomville Championship amongst themselves. We'll, again, dive into Ransomville, I think, probably on the next episode. I'll probably pair that one with Oshweekend, and maybe do a Friday night focus kind of show on the next episode. But for now, wanted to catch up with this one, and I wanted to talk about the modifieds and give them a shout out, because I actually had a chance to speak with both Matt Williamson and Ryan Susice after the race. Matt was kind enough to talk to me not just about the Pete Cosco, but also a little bit about his win at Ransomville in the Super Dirt Car Series. So let's hear from Matt Williamson and Ryan Susice on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Standing by with Matt Williamson in victory lane at Humberstone after the Pete Cosco Memorial. How good does this one feel in the final Pete Cosco Memorial here at Humberstone?
Yeah, it's really cool. Pete did a lot for me and for local racing, and this one's really special to win. I really enjoyed my time that I got to spend with Pete, and we miss him. So get to come here and run a great race in honor of him is really cool. And yeah, it's always one we circle on the bucket list. This one was a little more special coming back to Niagara in front of the Niagara fans. That's like I said in victory lane, there was a certain someone in the pits tonight that tried to take all this away from us, and I really got to thank him for all my success on the road, and we turned chicken shit into chicken soup, really.
And a lot of Williamson supporters, a lot of T-shirts sold before, and a lot of people showing up in Williamson T-shirts. How good does it feel to look out, see so many racing fans here supporting you in Niagara?
Oh, it means the world to me. I wish that we could talk for an hour, and I'd tell you how much it meant to me. But yeah, thanks to everybody. Terry did a great job getting the crowd here tonight. The crowd was awesome. It was probably the fullest I've seen Humberstone in a long time. So that was super, super exciting to see. Obviously, it's a late night. I think a lot of the divisions were racing like it was the last race at Humberstone Speedway. So that kind of sucked. I felt for the fans when we were rolling out. I don't know what time it is now, probably 11:30 or so. So, but yeah, to get the win, the last Pete Cosco win is really special to me.
And this is the second one I've had a chance to see you win in person this week, as I was at the Summer Nationals. Talk to us about the Big Block program, how good that one felt to break through at Ransomville and win that one. I know you talked a little bit in Victory Lane about maybe the race wasn't necessarily the most entertaining for fans, but it was still a hard-fought one for you to hold off Shepherd through all that lap traffic.
Yeah, I listened to you talk about it on the podcast today. So, yeah, it was still a race in lap traffic, like you had mentioned. I mean, obviously it wasn't the greatest race. I've seen a lot better races. but in starting position, obviously, I can't be naive and say that didn't help me win the race. But it was cool to get a win, hold off Shepard and Stu, and them races, you can lose them as easy as you can win them. Them races are tough because you got to really stay on the bottom and hit your marks for 75 laps. So that was tough. But we got the Big Block program rolling really good, and I'm excited to head to the next race at Lebanon Valley on Saturday.
And what do you need to close up that lead that Shepard's amassed a bit? Gained a couple points on you, even with the win on Tuesday night. But it's always a great battle when it's the Matt and Matt show coming down for the Super Dirt Car title. Yeah,
the point system's kind of flawed with that deal. I think that we've got 6 wins to Matt's 1, and we've got 1 DNF. So obviously that hurt us. But anytime you go to a race, and the winner of the race should leave with the most points, no matter what happens early. But that quick time's really important. I think we were like 2 100ths off of it for them extra 5 points. But it's a long year. There's a lot of racing left to do, and we've had our DNF. Hopefully that's the only one of the year. And you don't wish bad luck on anybody, but we've been really lucky locally. Like when we raced Canandaigua, Matt's had some DNFs there. So it all works out in the end. Hopefully we'll be able to go to Charlotte and contend for a championship.
Well, good luck the rest of the way through championship season here, and have a great night the rest of this. Enjoy this Pete Cosco Memorial one. I know it's a special one for you and all the fans here.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Matt Williamson on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Standing by after a podium finish, Ryan Susice coming off a special one here at Humberstone, the final Pete Cosco Memorial. Talk to us about the drive in the 38 tonight.
I had a good car. Just got beat by 2 better drivers tonight. I think that long green flag run at the beginning of the race kind of found something middle top and got up to second. And I felt like we were closing in on Matt, especially when he hit lap traffic. But yellow flag came out and just, tire cooled down and maybe the track changed a little bit and I just didn't adjust enough. And after that, Gary was better than me through the middle and top and drove around us. But, for come here, keep the car in one piece. We've only really run Ranceville in that one show at Merrittville. I'm happy with it. We weren't far off. It's never fun finishing third, but at the same time, kind of got to evaluate the situation and see where we're at overall. And, we've had a good season. We've been right with these guys all year and just missing that little bit, which a lot of that comes down to they run 40, 50, 60 times a race a season. And this year I'm at 13, so probably a little bit to do with it. I don't think it's any difference in car. It's just a matter of driver needs to get a little more seat time, get a little better at the end of the races.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for the time, and I'll see you Thursday night at the go-karts.
All right, thanks, John.
So that kind of puts a bow on things from Humberstone and the Pete Cosco Memorial. Now I wanted to move on to the championship night, 7XSO championship night from Saturday night, this past Saturday at Merrittville Speedway, including the 50-lap John Spencer Memorial. Let's start. We'll work our way up to the the modifieds. We'll start with the mini stocks here. Alex Riley, Kenny Hare, that's the situation. They're tied in points. Whoever is going to finish better between the two of them is going to go ahead and win the championship title. So it was only fitting that those two would end up battling it amongst themselves. Now, Alex Riley got up there a little bit quicker than Kenny Hare did, but he also had a full rows advantage. Riley started 12th. Hare started 14th in this one. Hare was kind of lockstep with Riley on that opening lap. Riley gained, I think, like 7 or 8 spots, went from like 12th to 5th, I think, in one lap. And Hare did kind of something similar, 14th to 8th, I think I have in my notes here. So those two are just clearly on a mission. I've kind of noticed pretty quickly that Kenny Hare was committed to the outside of the racetrack. And with the amount of rain that we had at Merrittville, it was kind of a weird surface, very fast track. Kind of didn't seem like the outside, at least in a mini stock, was the play. But that's where he was committed to. That's where he was running. And he did make a lot of passes up until the closing portions of the laps. Now they get a caution with, I'm going to say it was 4 to go. I think they had a caution, maybe 3 to go. And that kind of jumbled things up. Alex had control of the race by that point. He was leading, and he chose to take the inside. That put Kenny Hare right on his back bumper. And, got to give a lot of credit to Kenny Hare. Raced him really clean. Hare got up to second, then was under fire from Worstrow. Left the bottom side of the racetrack open, and Austin Worstrow was the one who was able to kind of get to his inside. And, Kenny Hare almost had to play more defense than he could play offense against Alex Riley. And Riley drove off and won a championship, back-to-back titles for the 17 ride for Alex Riley. That's pretty cool to see. What a battle. What a great year so far it's been for Alex. And it can get better as well. right there in the fight at Oshawiken as well. Maybe we'll catch up with Alex in a couple episodes and have a full breakdown of the 2024 season. I still would love to hear from Kenny as well. I reached out to him. I was hoping to hear back from him about setting up an interview sometime soon. Maybe now that the championship fight is over, we can get Kenny here on the show, because he also had a really fantastic 2024. And those two, it was just so fitting that the two top drivers in the points who have separated themselves, were tied in it, end up 1-2 in the race. It was very poetic, very fitting. Now, on the opposite side of poetry, you had, like, I don't want to make fun and say, oh, bad luck, Brent, but I mean, the racing gods were not happy with Brent Begolo Saturday night. I've never seen somebody in a championship fight with such, bad luck and crazy things have happened to them. So, lots of rain before the races, mandatory packing of the track before it. So you're expecting to see every single car, every single driver out for hot laps to help pack the racetrack before we go racing on Saturday night. And we're missing Brent Begolo. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why is Brent not out there? He should be out there. I'm like, and we get the report over the radio. There's something wrong with the car. The crew is scrambling. And he ends up missing his hot lap session, which just already, when, like, that's how your night's going to start and you need a big night. Like, again, Josh Sliter basically had to finish 18th no matter what Brent did. So Brent needed to go and win the race to give himself any kind of shot, any kind of chance. And yeah, from the get-go, just not good. Now, kind of turn around in the heats. Heats were smooth, fine. Brent finishes second in his. Josh Sliter won his heat. So Josh doing what he can, doing what he's got to do. And sure enough, race comes. Brent is bad fast. Like, literally shot out of a cannon on the first lap. So fast, catches front row driver Chris Watson, who started on the pole. And the two, Watson's just trying to figure out, like, a line to go. Begolo's trying to figure out if he's going high to make a pass, low to make a pass. They end up hooking Nerf bars. And I thought for sure they were turning right in towards the, like, fence and maybe going for a flip on the inside guardrail. You know how the inside guardrail at Merrittville kind of tucks down into the ground? I thought for sure they were going to just kind of rim ride up that, like skateboards or something. Thankfully they both locked down the brakes enough that there was no major damage. They were able to unhook the cars. One lap on the board. We'll try it again. Sure enough, Begolo, another great restart, passes some cars. Watson has a pretty good restart too, passes some cars. They go down into turn 3. Watson sails it in underneath somebody. Begolo comes down across the track to try to set up a move on the exit of the corner. Don't they get hooked together again? Like, what are the odds that they find each other like that again? It just was unbelievable. Unbelievable timing, unbelievable luck. I couldn't believe it happened, to be honest. Now, from there, you would think, oh, how could this night get any worse? Watson jumps out of the car, which effectively ends his night because he was trying to see the damage or whatever, kind of was beside himself. He couldn't believe that something happened like this again. Begolo stays in the car, gets back going again. Now, at this point when I'm recording, I don't think the drone videos are out yet. If they are, I have not seen them yet, so I don't know what causes this. But Brent Begolo goes into turn 3, and the next thing I know, he's 5 feet in the air, tumbling up and over and rolling. Multiple times up and over, comes down on all fours, does climb out of the car after a hot second with race med there, and is able to walk it off. But a scary, scary rollover. So it's like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3 in terms of bad luck things that could happen to derail a championship fight. Like, just unbelievably unfortunate turn of events for Brent. Like, never even had a shot to do anything with the title. So it's a shame. It's a bummer. I was really actually quite bummed out for Brent. Like, I wanted to see a championship fight. I always, like, even with Josh only having to finish 18th, it would have been fun if he was, like, stuck back in traffic or something happened to Josh and he had to fight as well. Like, you want to see if there's mathematically a chance for a battle, you want to see a bit of a battle, right? You want to see it. So, kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer that it played out that way. But ultimately just was glad that Brent seemed to be okay at the end of what was a wild Saturday night for him. Tyler Winger goes on to win that race. Josh Sliter finishes second, does more than enough to win his track championship. I believe it's his 8th, as Statman Fran reported to me. RJ Pitts ends up in the 3rd spot. Ryan Anderson 4th. Jamie Gilbert 5th in the Rona Dodge Mod Lights. Moving on to the street stocks, Jason Fontaine starts on pole in a race that goes flag to flag, and he wins it, holding off Mark Fawcett, who seemed like he was coming kind of at the end of the race there and might have been able to sneak up there and steal the win, maybe with another 5 laps or so. But Fontaine did more than enough to get his second win of the year, which also was his 100th career win. So shout out to Jason. Well deserved. 100 career wins. That's insane. Insane, buddy. Spencer Smolders finishes third in this one. Chris Crow and your eventual champion, Dave Bailey, finishes in the 5th spot. Now, moving down the list here, another driver that I'm hoping to catch up with in the not too distant future because, I think Merrittville Sportsman program is in good hands. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about the dominance of Cody McPherson, but these young kids that are coming, Nigel Pentecoski wraps up the novice championship at Ransomville. Has a great run, P2 on Saturday night. Matteo Panante, after his engine goes up in smoke last week, comes back, jumps in the 20 car, and driving that Jay Mallory piece, goes out, starts second, wins a Sportsman feature ahead of Pentecoski. Cody McPherson finished third. Matt Sharp, Adam Leslie round out your top 5 there. But what a drive. What a way to kind of end off that season. I mean, there's still another 50-lap Sportsman race to come this coming Saturday for Merrittville. But Matteo Panante, great job. Really awesome stuff from him to break through like that. Another driver that I'm hoping to have on the show in the not too distant future. And we'll talk a little bit about that win in that moment and just the youth movement and Sportsman in general. What an awesome time. Cody McPherson had that title well in hand, so there was no championship drama necessarily, but still awesome that we got a first-time winner on Saturday night to kind of close out the point finale night of the Sportsman's campaign. And a big shout out to Jay Mallory for allowing Matteo to get in that race car and not just giving him a piece to get some points and whatever, but actually giving him a piece capable of going out there and winning a race like that. And in the 50 lap John Spencer Memorial, Gary Lindberg puts the exclamation point on what was a fantastic 2024 summer run, especially, kind of after the first couple of weeks, it seemed like it might be anybody's race. Lindberg was getting crashed out. He's finding himself in incidents here and there, and that kind of caused a little bit of a tighter points battle than maybe it could have been had Lindberg been able to finish more of those races out earlier in the year. But he just caught fire in July and August. It was really strong, and down the stretch, did more than enough to secure a modified title heading into the 50-lapper. And in the 50-lapper, kind of I don't want to say it was a microcosm of the whole season for him because he came on pretty late in this one. But again, started in 4th, stayed up inside the top 5 like all race long, never really fell back, had one hard race with Freddie Carlton for a couple laps there. That kind of jammed him up after a restart, regathered that, drove forward, and eventually with 4 laps to go, caught and passed Pete McNell for the 50-lapper title. And I actually was able to catch up with Gary in Victory Lane, and here's a little bit of what he had to say in Victory Lane as well, just wrapping up not just the 50-lap John Spencer Memorial, but this is also what he had to say about winning the track title. Here's Gary Lindberg on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Gaston's Auto Sales, Rona Fort Erie, KR, John Bevan, Double Kitchens, Cabin Installation, 37S. Here he comes. It's Gary Lindberg. Come on around, getting the thumbs up from the reunion committee. What a year, what a race, what a way to cap off 2024, Gary.
Yeah, I thought starting 4th tonight we would have had it easy, but man, I had to work hard for that one. We were way too tight early, and track just kind of came to us a little bit. I don't even think I was that great in the end, but we got her done anyway.
You got her done. Talk to us about that drive over 50 laps, because it seemed like you needed almost all 50 to get there to that front spot. How did the car feel? How did the track change? And did it come to you, or do you think Pete came back to you?
Freddie didn't help me out on that restart. He went to the top and put me in the moat, and it kind of messed up my momentum there. And then, I don't know, the track just got a little slippery. We set up for a slick track, and she wasn't that slick. I didn't think it would hold up like that, so luckily it burned up a little bit anyway.
So take us through this entire year as you think back on being champion of this division. In the early part of the year, it kind of seemed like maybe it was anybody's game. There was Justin Sharp breaking through for a win. There was yourself and Freddie going back and forth at it seemed. And then the summer months come, and you roll off a couple of wins, and you close out in style here tonight. Talk to us about, the second half on where the dominance came from.
Yeah, the first half we just couldn't get through a race without getting wrecked. That's what happened. And, if we didn't wreck or break, we broke twice and wrecked twice. And if that wouldn't have happened, I think we would have been right there all year. We've had a fast car all year. Just some bad luck at the beginning put us way back. Like 2 DNFs, you don't normally come back from that and win a points championship. So that just goes to show you how hard these guys work and how good the car is.
And who do you got to thank for what was a great 2024 year for this 37S bunch?
I got to thank Andrew and all the guys for working on the car. They spend a lot of time in the shop working on it. So thanks to them or we wouldn't be here, that's for sure.
Gary Lindberg wins the John Spencer Memorial. Puts an exclamation point on a dominant 2024 campaign in the Modifieds. And with that, championship point finale night is over. Folks from Van Sickle Pet Value and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite four-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Beat the box office and the crowds. Their support of local racing doesn't just stop with you, the race fan. Catch the Van Sickle Pet Value PV on the Lane 4 cylinders racing at Merrittville Speedway throughout the 2024 season. Check out Van Sickle Pet Value across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20. And as you heard there, this podcast is sponsored by Van Sickle Pet Value and Lundy's Lane Pet Value. Don't forget to go and grab your tickets. One more night worth of tickets that you can grab from them for the sprint cars this coming weekend. The SOS are back at Merrittville Speedway. One more night of racing to go. Can't wait for it. Hopefully you'll come and join us for this on Saturday night. And again, Lundy's Lane Pet Value and Van Sickle Pet Value, they're not just your pet store, but they're also your ticket for Saturday night. They've got tickets for Merrittville Speedway. Stop in, grab the best toys, treats, and accessories for your pet, and then also maybe make sure you got some race tickets to go and visit with us. And again, what's going to be the final stock car night of the year, Wreckfest 2024. Should mention that's coming down the line as well. Tickets for that are available at Merrittville Big Scoop or available on MerrittvilleSpeedway.com if you want to go take in the 100-lap enduro, demo derby night, school bus demolition derby, backwards race, ladies race. It's a whole fun night of shenanigans and going to be a great time there. I'm unfortunately going to be missing that. I'm also going to be missing the Sprint Car Nationals that are that night. I'm going to be away on my own bachelor party. So the podcast is going to get a little jammed up over the next couple weeks. Going to be crazy to see how the schedule plays out. We're going to try to cover all the championship stuff as best we can as I head into my racing or my wedding season and all that sort of stuff. If anything, maybe we'll get through the Sprint Car Nationals, recap that stuff, and then we'll come back after the after Super Dirt Week and do some recovery or some recap stuff there. That might be how that all plays out. We'll see. I know Humberstone's got some dates in there. I'm hoping to be out and cover that. So. But I also have to get married in a matter of weeks. So we're trying to figure all that out and what time I'm going to have to do some shows over the next month and a half leading into the wedding. So once that's all worked out, I'll keep you guys posted. Like I say, hopefully one more kind of mini episode teeing up Friday nights at Osh Weekend, taking a look at how their season has gone, because I feel like we haven't talked enough about this season at Osh Weekend. It's been a busy summer for me, planning a wedding and all that sort of stuff, getting a band off the ground, getting an EP recorded, and that's going to be released soon. Lots coming in my personal life and lots coming in the racing season as well. I think we should end off this week with a sticker star. Let's have Brandon Gruel on. Brandon unfortunately had a kind of big key in preventing Daryl Fairway from potentially winning a modified feature. The week that James Friesen won his first modified feature, Fairway was in control of that race and then had a hard time getting around Gruel in traffic, and that kind of jammed up things at the front. fairway, ended up making a bit of a move that was a little too aggressive in terms of a pass, trying to get the lead back. Had to jump on the binders, it looked like, from my vantage point. And once he locked up those brakes, car just kind of went around on him. And a real shame, because Daryl's a great modified driver who should be right there and should have been able to capture and take advantage of a win, and or at least had a better chance to fight it out in the end with some of the best in the class. But ultimately, lap traffic kind of gets in the way of that. But that's racing. That's going to happen. And Brandon Gruhl, of course, he was going to fight hard. It was his, I believe, final modified start for the year, potentially. We talk a little bit about that in the Sticker Star program. So let's hear from Brandon Gruhl, and we'll end off the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast with that. Standing by with the driver of the 35G, it's Brandon Gruhl. Brandon, how's it going, my friend?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Thanks for rocking the sticker. We're doing well here at the race day. Yes, that is, in fact, Southern Ontario Dirt Show sticker on the side of the race car. So you're a sticker star for this week. Talk to us a little bit about this 35G ride.
Well, this is a car we had, and we just decided to put it together at the end of last year, and we're just still testing it, and we'll see how it goes tonight. But so far, so good. So we're kind of excited about what we got here. We're just going to keep testing and see how she goes.
What about, you mentioned testing for 2024. What's the plan for the rest of the season and heading into 2025? You got anything you're looking at down the road?
Rest of this year is tonight, and we're going to do another race at Humberstone. Just finished up a crate sprint car, so we're going to dabble with that, so that'll be some fun. And 2025 will be modified again as much as possible and play with the sprint car and maybe hit up some races in the States and try to have some fun out there.
Yeah, a lot of fun toys for sure in this whole 35G operation here. It's a good looking ride. Who helps get you to the race track every week?
Well, it's not a long list, but it's important. I just got to thank my mom and dad, and that's really it. Without them, I'd be over there watching, so I got to thank them a lot, and that's pretty much it.
Well, family operation. I love this sticker up here. That's a fun one. But a family operation with a 35G, lots of fun, lots of toys that they are playing with in 2024. Brandon, thanks for supporting the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, and have a good one out there.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, presented by Van Sickle Pet Value and Lundy's Lane Pet Value. Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show, or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us at southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.